What's up, y'all? This your girl J Renee with Prison Ride Radio. I hope that you're doing well. This evening we have a brother on the phone. His name is Myron Brooks. He says he's wrongfully convicted. So we're going to give him an opportunity to talk about the things that happened in his case and the things that are going on with him, and give him an opportunity to prove his innocence. Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Okay. I appreciate you working with us so we could get you on recording so you could talk about the things that's going on with you. So,
okay, thanks a lot.
Yes, indeed. So the floor is yours.
Okay, my name is Myron Brooks, and I'm telling the story how I was convicted. I'm an innocent man, was convicted of murder. On December 2nd, 1996, a murder occurred at the Dearborn Motel on Michigan Avenue in Eastern Michigan at approximately 6:39 p.m. The Eastern police responded to a man being shot. When police got to the scene, a man named James Huggins flagged down the police and told them his boy Mike had been shot. The officer found Mike with no pulse. He was pronounced dead on arrival to Garden City Hospital. Now, there was 3 witnesses to the homicide. The deceased best friend, Thomas Carter, a.k.a. Boomer, who told homicide Detective Hill, who was the lead homicide detective in this case. Remember that. And Thomas Carter told Detective Hill that they had words with the shooter, and he pulled out a gun and started shooting. Carter said he don't know the man's name, he never saw him before, and could not give a description of the shooter. The second witness, Roberta Weekland, who also talked to Detective Hill. He said he was at the motel smoking crack, cocaine, and came downstairs to get his car keys from a lady named Debbie. And he saw the shooting. He told Detective Hill, I don't know the guy's name, never saw him before, and could not give a description of the shooter. The third witness is a lady named Debbie Cedar, who also talked to Detective Hill, and she said she met him at her friend Latasha Gunn's house. He was with an unknown black guy, and they went to a lady named Chrissy Shepherd's house, a.k.a. CC, apartment. And then Debbie left and went to the Dearborn Motel and was tricking with a guy named Roberta Weekland for crack cocaine. And they was with an unknown lady. When the unknown lady was having sex with Roberta Weekland, Debbie took his car keys and came back to CC's apartment and asked the unknown male at CC's apartment to go back to the motel with her to help her get her clothes. When they got to the motel, 2 men came up to them and said, what you doing here? What you doing here, motherfucker? I don't know you, and you look like someone I knew from before. And the man started to walk away. And they came up on him, and he started shooting. Now, Debbie told homicide Detective Hill that she didn't know, I don't know the man, I don't know his name, I never saw him before. Or could she give a description of the man? She don't know who the shooter was either. So, Detective Hill went to a lady named Cece's house where she said she met the man at. Now, Detective Hill, when he talked to Cece said she went to Cece's apartment and asked her who was the unknown black males at her house. She said she did not know them. She could not give a name. She said, I never saw them before and could not give a description. She said a lady named Latasha Gunn came to her house with the 2 men. And she couldn't give a description or nothing, so Detective Hill go talk to Latasha Gunn, who brought the guys there. She said she knew one of the men. His name is O, but she never saw the shooter, the other guy, before. She could not give his name, or could she give a description. She don't even know the guy O name, but his pager number. Detective Hill told her to page him and tell him she wanted to buy some dope and bring the guy you was with that day who shot Mike with you. O did not come, so Detective Hill went to the store where the pager was bought and got the address to the owner of the pager and went to that address and sat for 2 days. And a car pulled up with O in it. And the Tasha gun said, that's him. And then they picked up O and found his real name to be Alfonso Sims. Now, Alfonso Sims talked to Detective Hill, and Detective Hill asked him who was the guy that you came to Inkster with on December 2nd. And Alfonso Sims said, the guy name I came out here was Myron Brooks. That's me. Then Detective Hill said he called Detroit headquarters, 1300 Brogan, Detroit headquarters police, and asked for photos of Mr. Brooks, and they were sent to Detective Hill. So now he asked Mr. Sims, where is Mr. Brooks at? Mr. Sims, he could not tell where Mr. Brooks was, or could he give the house where he stayed. So Detective Hill went to the Michigan State Fugitive Unit on December 15th, and the Michigan State Fugitive Unit looked for Mr. Brooks. And on February 7th, 60 days later in 1997, they picked up Mr. Brooks and took him to the Inkster Police Department, where he talked to Detective Hill. And Detective Hill asked me, do I know a lady named Debbie Seeley? I said no. He asked me, did I know a lady named Latasha Gunn? I said no. He asked me, did I know a guy named Alfonso Sims? I said no. He asked me, did I own a pistol? I said no. And he asked me, have I been to Inkster, Michigan? I said about 11, 12 years ago. Then Detective Hill told me a guy named Alfonso Sims told him that he brought me out to Inkster to a lady named CC's apartment. Then he left. And me and a lady named Debbie went to the Dearborn Motel, and I killed someone named Mike, whose name is Michael Thomas. I told him, I don't know what you're talking about. And you need to lock up Mr. Sims for lying, because I have never been nowhere with a man named Mr. Sims. I said, give me a lineup and let these people ID me as the guy with Mr. Sims that night. So I could go home, because I know I wasn't the guy that was with Mr. Sims. He said no and took me to be arraigned the same day before Judge Sylvia James of the 22nd District Court on murder. The same day I was picked up. And she set a preliminary examination date for February 19th, 97. And on the 19th, my lawyer asked for a lineup because no one had picked me out of a lineup or a photo lineup as being the shooter. No one have ever identified me at this point. Mr. Brooks as the one that was with Mr. Sims that day on December 2nd. Sylvia James denied my request for a lineup. Remember this. And postponed my hearing to March 5th, 97. And on March 5th, 97, my lawyer asked for a lineup again. The judge said no, and I said I was not going in the courtroom to get picked after I asked for a lineup. That's a setup. And so Detective Hill and Detective Hines came back to the bullpen, knocked me out, tied me to a chair, duct taped me, and rolled me in the courtroom. And that was the first time I was ID'd for the murder. Now, witnesses I never saw in my life. And that's how I got bound over to trial. Where I didn't have a lineup, no witness ever identified me, or none of that. So now I'm in trial. And they asked me why. My lawyer talked to me and asked me why is the witnesses saying that, why is the witness saying it's you? I said, I don't know. If they put you in this chair, they would be saying it's you too. So I sat in the trial, and all the witnesses had a story. My lawyer asked me, can I contest what they is saying? I said, how can I? I told you I was not the one that was with Mr. Sims on that night. So I can't tell you if they lying or telling the truth. But I do know I am not the man that was with Mr. Sims that night. I know that. I was the guy Mr. Sims was talking about. I was found guilty of murder. I appealed. I lost my appeal. The court said I did not have a constitutional right to a lineup. This is the only reason I lost, to prove my innocence. Then I found out later that the same judge that denied my lineup did my preliminary examination. She arraigned me, and the same judge signed my warrant. So she knew that the witnesses could not identify the shooter at the preliminary examination, denied me the only way to prove my innocence of this crime. Now I got 19 years in prison, and the Wayne County, after I had 19 years in prison, the Wayne County came out with a conviction integrity unit for the innocent people, and they accepted my case. Said I had a very, very compelling case, but I've been waiting for the integrity unit to get with me. While I was waiting, I found out that my homicide detective was a corrupt detective who put witnesses on the stand and made them say it was the man in the chair who committed the crime. At least 3 people have been exonerated of murder cases with this homicide detective, Detective Hill, who did the homicide detective in my case, saying what I was saying, that they was making these witnesses come in there and say it was me. Detective Eugene Hill own daughter came forth. That was the game changer. She witnessed the murder and told
you have 1 minute.
Okay, I was at Detective Gregory Eugene Hill own daughter came forth. That was the game changer. She witnessed a murder and told her father he had the wrong man in jail. He told her to shut up. He would take care of it. He would take care of it. And them men came to prison with life. Now they is at home after they got out. They did an interview with Lester Hope called Justice for All. And at this interview, Wayne County Prosecuting Attorney Kim Worthy and Valerie Newman of the Wayne County Integrity Unit was at the interview. It was said that everyone who had Detective Hill as a lead homicide detective, their case should be looked at. And Kim Worthy said they would investigate all his cases. They never came to talk to me. So I wrote Valerie Newman and said I had Detective Hill, and he was the lead homicide detective in my case. And I want to know, and Valerie Newman told me, well, I got to hold on, you know what I'm saying? It's going to take about 6 months. And when 6 months came, Valerie Newman never got to me, got back with me. She said it's going to be next year for the integrity unit to look into my case with Detective Hill. But I want the world to know about my case. I even told the parole board what happened to me when I asked for a pardon. Now the truth is out about the homicide detective, Detective Hill, and all these guys have been exonerated, but I'm still in prison. When I should have been home like yesterday. And I can prove everything I'm saying in this interview. And Debbie Cedar, the witness my homicide, I found her by the grace of God. And she came forth and went to the police officer, the Innocent Project, and the Integrity Unit. And she told them that I was innocent and that Detective Hill made her come into the court and say it was me. As a matter of fact, Debbie Cedar wrote an affidavit saying that she was in the room and Detective Hill made all the witnesses come into court and say it was me. And she was the eyewitness to my homicide in the same light as the other 3 guys who have been exonerated. Now this guy, Detective Hill, he wasn't even a homicide detective. He committed perjury on the stand to say he had credentials to be a homicide detective in a case called People versus Diaz versus the Inkster Police Department. And it'll tell you about Detective Hill. Detective Hill was corrupt, and he was putting witnesses on the stand, making them say that people committed crimes that they didn't do. And Okay. And this is the story, but this is my story, and I just want the world to know what they did to me and took me from my family for a crime I did not commit. Here is a little something to prove what I'm saying to be true. My case number, my appeal case number is 975000882. My police investigation report number is 9630484. Easter Police Department. The cases that was exonerated, it was a guy named George Clark and a guy named Cato Romanowski. And another guy, I don't know the full story of his, but I know Cato Romanowski and George Clark Bay, their case number is silver numbers 21616 CV 11959. Federal case, Michigan. And everybody was exonerated. So, by the word hearing my story, I hope somebody come forth and know that I'm an innocent man. And I should have had a lineup. When that judge denied my lineup, it was over. And she knew that all the witnesses could not identify me as the person that was with them that day because she is the judge that arraigned me. She did my preliminary examination, and she signed my warrant, and she denied the lineup with a cop who's been found to be corrupt by putting witnesses on the stand and coming in there making them say that they committed a crime. That's why they knocked me out, duct taped me, tied me to a chair, and rolled me in the courtroom and had the witnesses come in there and say, "That's the man in the chair." And that's the end of the story. But it's a lot more to the story if I ever get a chance to present the evidence to the people.
Okay.
And that's the end of the story, yeah.
All right, so one of the questions I have for you, that's a lot, brother. I hate that you going through that for real. 19 years is a long time.
I've been locked up 26 years, but the integrity unit came out 19 years.
Okay,
when I had 19 years, then, yeah.
Okay, got you. So, the person that you spoke with that said that they was going to look into your case about it getting exonerated, when was the last time you spoke with them? And who was that?
With the integrity unit, I spoke with them. Damn, Francis, when the last time? I write her, her name Valerie Newman, she write me, I write her back. We talk, she understand. I even had a lawyer into the integrity unit, and they told my lawyer that they was going to holler at me in December. Remember, it was like, when did December, Francis?
Yeah.
They said they was going to holler at me in December. And then something happened in the integrity unit, and December passed, and I wrote it back. I said, well, damn, I should be home like everybody else. And she said, well, something going on in the integrity unit, and it's going to be a little while. So she said, holler back at her next year. Okay. So she said next year around May. So like next year around May, she want me to call back and holler at her, but we still be communicating. They not saying that they not gonna let me go, but I'm saying that they should have let me go when they found out that I had the same homicide detective as the other guys that was exonerated.
Right.
They were supposed to come holler at me because I was telling the same story that the people that got exonerated was telling before them. But I didn't know that everybody was on this homicide detective because I was at a prison in Muskegon.
Okay.
And when all this was going on, I didn't know it was going on until I got to this joint called Adrian. And it was a guy that was from Inkster. And he came and I was letting him read my case. And then he came down there with me and showed me all these people that was getting out with this homicide detective, that he was corrupt. And then that's when I wrote Valerie Newman and really started fighting.
Yeah.
And they supposed to let me go. They really supposed to, because I've been telling this story for 26 years.
Right.
That this homicide detective made these people come in there and say it was me. They didn't give me a lineup. They knew that I wasn't the person who committed this murder. The judge knew I was supposed to get that lineup. It's no way. That's the only evidence. If you read my case, the appeal case, the only issue at trial was he the shooter. They didn't know who this guy was. Nobody. I got everything. And the only reason I ain't sent it to you yet is because I had to go to the law library to get the copies because they got this corona stuff going on here. But I went to the law library yesterday and got all the copies of everything, and I was going to send it to that post box office you gave me.
So let me ask you this.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Did you have a public defender?
No, I had a lawyer.
So what did your lawyer say when they duct taped you and brought you into the courtroom? Because I'm not understanding.
Okay, I got to call you back and tell you. Because they just said 1 minute, so I got to wait 20. You think I could call you back around 7:30, 8 o'clock?